President Trump has now taken an approach to do, he has called in the troops to begin the mass deportation. And several Jamaicans or several non-immigrants tonight are worrying what will be their fate. You know what I'm talking about tonight, Jamaica? And people who are listening, President Trump is saying he's bringing the troops. So tonight I have gotten, in a series to start, I've gotten an immigration attorney who goes by the name of Laird Law. Can you bring in my guest for me tonight? Good night. You have muted.
There we go. That'll probably fix it. Can you hear me now?
Greetings.
How are you doing?
Are you Mr. Laird?
Yeah, that's my last name.
So you're on, welcome to PDTV News Jamaica. I hear that you're an excellent immigration attorney, and we want to talk about what President Trump has begun.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me on. Just a quick way of background. I'm an American-born Jamaican. My family's from Jamaica, from both one from the coastline, the other one from Central and the St. Elizabeth area. I've been practicing immigration law for about a decade. We've seen for over a decade. We've seen a lot of changes from president to president, whether it be Bush, Obama, Trump, Biden, and now Trump again. So a lot of what we can expect is really what we've already seen before. So I'm happy to go over all that with everyone, just at least to alleviate some concerns and hopefully save people some money from some applications they might try and file that's not going to work out.
So with what is being said, what is really happening in terms of, he has made some pronouncements about mass deportation. Should Jamaicans be concerned, particularly like in New York, in New Jersey? Talk to us tonight. What really is going to happen?
Yeah, so a lot of the stuff you hear on the news is going to be noise, but we do have a lot of things right from his mouth. So right after he came in, he made a number of proclamations. We call them executive orders. It's basically him telling all of the people in the executive branch what he wants them to do. And so he already signed a number of orders declaring a national emergency at the border, declaring that certain smuggling groups that help bring people in, including some Jamaicans sometimes, are now going to be designated as terrorist groups. So that's going to bring a lot of issues. He's stopped asylum, at least temporarily, closed up the border, at least for the past 2 days. We've seen him shut down the border. But really what I was more interested in is what is he planning on doing a few months from now? And while he was signing one of the executive orders, he declared, one of the reporters actually asked him, hey, are you going to start doing raids? And his reply was, yes, I am going to start doing raids. And then the officer asked him, when are you going to start? And then he laughed and said, I'm not going to tell you that, but just know they are going to get started at some point. So if you are somebody who is legal in the country, if you have a green card, if you have citizenship, you're fine. There's not too much that he's able to do to you for the most part. If you're someone who has had some old convictions that haven't been dealt with yet, if you're someone who's in the United States without status or who's here illegally, then yes, you need to make sure that you get some advice to make sure that you put yourself in at least in a more strategically better position, meaning that either you do something to protect yourself or that you permanently are able to obtain some kind of status.
What about the executive order birthright citizenship? Can he really do anything to those Americans who got their citizenship through birthright?
Yes. So that's the big question that everybody's asking. In reality, right now, obviously he can sign anything that he wants and declare that that's what he wants to do. But from what I can tell, I've spoken to a few judges about this. I've spoken to many other attorneys about it. We don't think it's going to get very far, in all honesty. It is a scary law to pass. But for those who don't know, Donald Trump signed an executive order. Essentially, what it states is that individuals who were born in the United States but were not born to a green card holder or a U.S. citizen. So that means that they were only born to someone who is out of status and certain people who are only here on temporary status. Mm-hmm. Those individuals will no longer automatically become U.S. citizens. So a lot of people have been scared. That means they lost their citizenship, but you did not. And do not allow any attorney or any grifter out there to tell you that you've lost your citizenship. Only a judge could take that away, and they're not willing to do that. In reality, what happened is that Trump is declaring for anyone born 30 days from now, that's when the order kicks in, that those individuals won't receive citizenship unless their parents are a U.S. citizen or a green card holder. However, what we expect is going to happen is he's going to get sued to the moon over this. And very likely there's going to be about 4 or 5 judges across the country that are going to put what we call an injunction. They're going to freeze that order and prevent it from being put into effect. So I would be very surprised if it got any further. One reporter even asked him while he was signing it, do you think that's going to stand up in the courts? And I can't remember exactly what he said, but he did kind of indicate that even he would be surprised if it didn't get stopped by the courts.
Wow. So you have been doing immigration law for about 10 years.
That's right, yeah.
So you have been doing immigration law for 10 years. Talk to me now. For those persons who are undocumented, there's nothing on them, nothing that stands for them. Can you get them documented or legitimized with all that is happening now? What are the possibilities of it?
So it's going to be a lot harder, but it's one of these things where it's definitely worth trying to do. If you're inside the country and you're trying to get your documents, it is always worth giving it a try. The best ways of doing it are going to be through family members, whether it's going to be U.S. citizen children, your parents. If your parents are green card holders, you don't have to wait for them to be citizens. They can file for you. Siblings can, but the waiting list is so long that most people aren't going to make it. And then of course, the biggest thing is going to be spouses. If you marry a U.S. citizen, if you marry a green card holder, a lot of people don't know this. The last time Trump was in office, he favored everyone that was marrying a green card holder. It used to be almost a 5-year wait if you married a green card holder for you to get your green card. Overnight, he turned it to 0 days. It was all made current. The news didn't talk about it. We had to let our clients know, and we were just slipping tons of people in through that method because it meant even if your spouse, for whatever reason, couldn't become a citizen, you could get your green card the next day. So
really?
Yeah, 100%. So I tell people all the time, make sure that you pay attention, because while he is really strict on illegal immigration, there are certain parts of legal immigration that he has a soft spot for. And we've seen him just suddenly open it. He doesn't tell his people. He doesn't want his voters to know, but he does it. And obviously us attorneys notice and we take advantage of that. So even when things seem hopeless, always look for those little nuggets that can help you out. The other big thing I want to get the message out there is SIDG. If you have a child that is in the United States, it doesn't matter if it's your child or not. Maybe it's your grandchild. Maybe it's your niece or nephew who's come to visit you. If their parents are neglecting them, if their parents are abusing them or have abandoned them, doesn't matter if it's one parent or both parents. If the father's left the house, if the mother isn't feeding the child or clothing the child, you can take guardianship of that child while they're in the U.S. and that child gets a green card. Nothing Trump can do can stop that. It's automatic. It goes right through there.
Mr. Laird, repeat that part about the child and the
Sure.
green. Yes.
So if you have a child, right, and this we know this happens with loads of people in Jamaica, and that child has been abandoned by their father, or let's say the mother is neglecting them, or maybe the father is physically abusing them. If that child comes to visit you inside the United States, or if that child for whatever reason is under your care in the United States, you can file for that child to get a green card, even though it's not your child. If it is your child, you can do it, or if it's not your child, you can do it, so long as one of the parents neglected, abused, or abandoned that child. That's all that matters. So I have a lot of mothers that are filing for their children because the father long done abandoned them. I have one child where unfortunately his mother went off to become a stripper, leaving him behind. The father's not interested. His grandmother is applying for him right now because he's here in the United States. He's doing very well in school. And I've had child after child after child that's been abandoned by and there's been cousins, there's been social workers, it's been whoever happens to pick up this child starts taking care of them. Yes. The child loves living with them, wants to stay here in the United States. They file guardianship, we get that child a green card immediately.
So that is called a specialized juvenile filing.
Yeah, it's called a special immigrant juvenile petition.
Okay. So what about those people who have been there for probably 10, 15 years and they don't have any form of legality? They would be classified as alien. Can you sort them out?
So it all depends on their situation, right? Some people that have come to me after being here for many years, yeah, I find out there was a family petition for them, or there was a work petition for them that I was able to revive and bring them back. It's really on a case-by-case basis because immigration laws have changed so much. So if you've been here 10, 20 years, you easily could have been through 3 or 4 different major changes in immigration, and any one of them could have given you some kind of benefit. You just don't know it yet. So we always tell people just get some advice, talk to people, especially if you can find an attorney to sit down and chat with them. Always come in, chat with us if you need to, and figure out where you fit in. Because if there's some place you fit in, you shouldn't leave that on the table. If there's no place for you to fit in, and now you're looking at this system, we're going to see what Trump's priorities are in the coming month or two. They have deportation priorities. That's the order in which immigration is going to go around arresting people. We don't know what they are right now. The first time he did it, his priorities were honestly similar to Obama's. They're almost identical. This second time, he's been changing a lot. So there's a good chance that the priorities aren't going to remain the same. And so the first time, people that had been here for 10 years, they weren't high priority. Now, I don't know what type of message he's trying to send. So we'll see. He'll release the list likely in a few weeks.
So much that is happening. There's so much that is happening. So at this time, you have to wait and see and then respond.
Right, exactly. Everything is wait and see for us right now.
So what about in the case of like teachers or professionals who are there, but they haven't gotten the full status? Can you sort them out?
So let's say you're a teacher and you're filing, you've been here legally. A lot of people come on J1 visas, M1 visas. If any of you don't know what that is, don't worry about it. The opportunity may come up for you in the future, though, if you're a teacher. If you're here on those visas, there are ways to get yourself petitioned for and to apply for work in a local school system, and then you can get yourself a green card. And those avenues, so far, Trump has shown that he's going to remain them open. We'll see, because his base is kind of against it. But as far as if you're here without any documentation and you try and do that, no one can get you an employment visa for the most part if you are here illegally. Once you lose your status, you're kind of locked out of that. And it's really going to be mostly based off of a family petition, an abandonment or abuse petition, as people call it, if your spouse has abused you or abandoned you. Those are really the only ways that you're going to be able to pull it off. As far as people overseas, so let's say you're in Jamaica and you're trying to come in,
Mhm.
that's going to be a bit of a different story. Um, Trump has had a bad history. Well, the U.S. in general has had a bad history on giving people visas recently. We've seen, but he's had a bad history on some of those visitor visas. He's been pretty strict about it. He's been pretty tight on the deportations as well. The Jamaican government's been taking people back where they normally would have been refusing it. So I can't have a promise to you that the applications are going to be easier.
Mhm.
But as far as employment applications go for teachers and things of that nature, they still went fairly smoothly under his old administration. We'll see what they do under the new one.
Oh. And in a case of like a fiance, can they get visa and all of those things, or there's going to be a problem in getting that at this time? A fiance visa.
So right now, I would still recommend doing it. You're as far as Trump is concerned, I've read enough about him to know that he's pro fiance visa. His own wife is an immigrant. His vice president's wife comes from an immigrant family. Generally speaking, they're okay with marriage applications. The problem is there's been a growing number of people in his voting base that are not so favorable towards that. They've generally believed that there's been too much scamming going on with fiance visas, and they feel that immigration has been intentionally lax in clamping down on those things. So, could he, as a compromise, maybe start sacrificing fiance visas in exchange for getting the marriage applications to keep going smoothly?
Mhm.
It's hard to say because we know I don't personally think he cares that much about birthright citizenship, but his base really did. So that's why he made that decision. So there's going to be no guarantee that he wouldn't do the same thing when it comes to fiance visas. My message would be get out there and get your fiance visa as soon as possible. If you are engaged to someone, if you're thinking about getting married, move forward with it now before any changes might occur. If changes are going to occur, it's going to be in the negative. They're not going to make the system easier as far as fiancés go.
Mm. And where do you operate? Which state are you in?
I'm in New York and New Jersey. I operate, in all 50 states. Obviously, if clients are all over the world, I have to represent. But as far as where my physical location is, it's in New York, it's in New Jersey. But nowadays, everything's online, so of course, we just operate wherever there happens to be a cell phone or a computer.
So you're accessible for all states to assist.
That's right. That's right.
Thing. But the deportation that he's saying that he's gathering the people to send them back home. Mm?
That's
How
right.
how do we what can you tell Jamaicans tonight who potential because there are raids to come, there are people to be picked up. Already in Jamaica, they're saying that the government of Jamaica should put in place tents to accommodate those who Trump is sending back home. In your estimation, do you think that Jamaicans on a whole will be sent back home, a significant portion of Jamaicans?
Oh, it's a hard prediction. All right, don't quote me on this, but I would probably think that as far as and pardon my parlance, but I always say the West Indies. But as far as the West Indies is concerned, I think Jamaicans by and large will be the largest number that are going to be sent back. They're the
But
largest number that immigrates, and they have a huge amount of violators that have been picked on by ICE for years. That's nothing negative. Obviously, many of them are my own family members. It's more the fact that a lot of people, when you've had a country that's had a close connection with the
Mr.
United
Leon,
States,
can you
and
repeat that part, please? You said that
sure,
Jamaicans are what? Repeat that, because I don't think them repeat that part. They said that Jamaicans more likely will be the country with the most. Repeat that part.
right, sure. It's the country with the largest number of people, at least out of the Caribbean, that's actually been entering the United States. It's also the country with the largest number of violators, unfortunately, as well. Because what it means is that in certain periods of time, the US has given large numbers of visitor visas and temporary work visas to Jamaicans. Like I said, including my own family members have come over on temporary work visas. What happens is that a number of people, obviously in that time period, lots of people are going to have children, get married, start relationships while they're here, and many of them are going to overstay their visas, whatever our opinions may be about that. And so there's a larger number of people that are here from certain countries than there are from other countries. You can even see the list online. USCIS, ICE, they released the list of where they believe most of the violators are coming from. And so as a result, it's been a particular target. For instance, when Obama went down to Jamaica, I remember, and he gave his I call it the Wagwan speech because that's how he started off, and everyone got excited. When he was down there doing that, he was actually brokering a deal with everyone. I'm not picking on any particular party, but he was making deals to ensure the fact that the Jamaican government would stop interfering with deportations. And he got that deal. They rearranged the embassy here in the United States. There were certain tricks that we were able to do to delay people. Those tricks disappeared overnight. During COVID, you saw a lot of the hubbub of there being so many.
So you're saying
Go ahead. Sorry, say that again.
A lot of Jamaicans.
He did, yeah. I don't know if he did more than Trump. I didn't keep track of the numbers, but he definitely opened up the door.
Under Obama rule, do you have an estimation of how many he deported?
I don't. My apologies. I'll look that up for you later, though. But ICE does keep track of that. They keep all the numbers up on their website, so we could pop on there later on after I'm done here. I can even check on it. And remember, their numbers are more estimates, but they're pretty consistent from year to year. I say they're estimates because they also use different definitions. For Obama, if he kicked you out before you came in, that was considered a deportation. Under Biden, I don't think that was a deportation, for instance. So they all have different definitions. But by and large, what we see, and many Jamaicans who are here in the US can tell you, what they see is that if ICE comes down hard, sure, they're going to go after the Hispanics, number one, right? They're going to go after everyone from South and Central America. That's their number one target. They're definitely going after Haitians. That'll be their number two target. We expect that to happen. Believe it or not, Chinese are up there, but Jamaicans are up there as well. And so with it just being a small country in comparison to say, go ahead, please.
So you're saying Jamaica is in the top five, Indians and the Chinese, the Haitians and the Spaniards.
I'm not going to give top 5, top 10 until I look at the numbers, but they are up there. If you ask an ICE officer, who is he picking up the most that week, you wouldn't be surprised, right? If you, let's say, for instance, if you hear Haiti, you're not going to be surprised, but it's a small island. Why would you hear Haiti? It's not that big. Why is it that? Because we just know there's been a lot of Haitians that have immigrated over here. And a lot of them obviously are going to violate what status they've been given. And so it's the same with Jamaica as well, that there's going to be a lot that have come over. There's going to be a lot that have had loads of them are going to be amazing. Loads of them are going to be fine and sorted and be citizens. And then many of them as well are going to fall through the cracks. They're going to have an application get denied. Something's going to happen to them that's going to put them out of status. And so as a result, when ICE is looking, yeah, they're going to be particularly sensitive to certain groups of people that they're looking for. As I said, if you speak to my clients, if you speak to a lot of Jamaicans living in the United States, they'll confirm it for you as well. That they're like, yeah, there was a lot of Jamaicans there when I got arrested, or when I visited many of them in detention. Same deal.
H2, for instance, here is a scenario. A H2B worker who overstays and marries to a US citizen, can they do filing?
An H2B, yes. So an H2B is a legal entry into the United States, right? Just like a visitor visa or something similar. And so let's say you overstay any visa. There's a few exceptions, but with most visas, when you overstay, you lose status and they're going to set you up for deportation if they catch you. However, if you marry a US citizen, they're
Mhm.
willing to waive the fact that you overstayed your visa because it's a citizen, and they're willing to give you your green card in the United States because you entered legally originally, even though you overstayed your visa eventually.
Wow. What are your consultation fees like?
So
Several
from my office, go
Mhm.
ahead. Sorry, go ahead. Say that again.
Persons have reached out to me asking, what are your
Oh, okay.
consultation costs like? You're going to get a lot of
Right.
business.
So,
I'm just telling you from now, you're going
all
to get business.
right.
This platform, plenty business. So I am asking you tonight, what are your consultation fees like?
So, generally speaking, when it comes to our consultation fees, we're usually are going to be $100 per consultation. That lasts for, I always tell people it lasts for half an hour, but in all honesty, I end up on the phone forever with people because I always want to make sure that everyone knows what they're getting into, knows whether or not it's worth it, and figures out whether or not I'd be able to help them by the end of the conversation. What I'll do for people calling in towards for from your show, is that if they do end up hiring me, I'll contribute that $100 directly towards their fee, so that then we can begin the process already with them having put a small deposit on the amount.
Repeat that part, what you would do for the people.
Sure. So what I'll do is I'll take the $100 consultation fee, and if they hire me, I'll add that $100 and put it towards the fee that it would have cost to hire me. So whatever it is that they hire me to do, we'll just take the $100, put it into that fee, and move on.
Wow, that is not bad. So Jamaica, we're going to have Mr. Laird here from time to time to talk all things immigration. This is a one in a part of series to come. How I find in Jamaica, I've never spoken to Mr. Laird, but one of my associates says, Andre, with what is happening, a lot of people are panicking. They need to know more about the situation and how to get on their status. So I'm saying Mr. Laird will be coming here from time to time to do discussions, just as how we did it for the half hour here on PDTV News Jamaica. The number to contact Mr. Laird is 212 233 2988. 212 233 2988. That is lairdslaw.org, or you can find him at lairdlaw.org. If you need to do business with him, just say that you got the information from Partner Draw TV, and certainly his contact is 212 233 2988. So I'm looking forward to having you again, Mr. Laird, and for us to keep the conversations ongoing about really what is happening with the immigration situation in America and keep the people informed. His consultation fee is 100 US. However, he says that if you do business with him, he'll subtract that 100 US from the final fee, which is not a bad business. So thanks again for coming, Sir Laird, and we look forward having you again.
All right. Thanks again for having me. I